What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. And today, woke up this morning being like, let's record some flashback Raiders rebuild, right? And I'll be coming to you guys tomorrow because I was like, well, I'm waking up. It's on YouTube. Oh, there's an interview between the Eagle beat reporters and Doug Peterson and Eagles general manager Howie Roseman. It's like the closeout interview for the season. I was like, this is going to be a car wreck, but let's watch it anyways. Maybe there's going to be a chance I get a sense of optimism leaving from that video. And boy, oh boy, much like social media right now, if you're a part of Eagles Twitter, everyone's depressed. There was no sense of optimism that these are going to be the guys that can right the ship, or we have no better feeling about the Eagles going forward, that they can fix it this offseason. So this is a video that I was planning on releasing a little bit later in the week, but the time is now. I want to speak it into existence while everything is doom and gloom, and before tomorrow's big interview, I guess, that Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie will be having with all the coaches and stuff, the exit interviews. Like, this was the thing last year that Mike Groh got fired. So maybe something could happen tomorrow. So today, Monday, I want to just put this all into existence, put it into the world, maybe up the spirits of Eagle fans that are doom and gloom. And who knows? Maybe it'll just be some positivity in the air. I don't know, man. So let's go into it. I got 6 moves for this dream offseason. I'm going to finish with a mock draft. I feel like that's simple enough. The 2 assumptions that I'm making for this dream offseason: 1 is Howie Roseman's returning as general manager. 2, Doug Peterson is back at head coach. So without further ado, my dream offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles goes as is. Number 1, hire Pep Hamilton as the offensive coordinator. He's the quarterback coach in LA, but Anthony Lynn is out as the head coach there. So there's going to be some changes. And most likely, even though Pep Hamilton could potentially get a interview there as the head coach, they're going to be bringing in somebody else that's going to have their own coaching staff. And Pep Hamilton's going to be out in the street, even though he did amazing work with Justin Herbert last year. So why does this move make sense for Philadelphia? Well, A, he has play calling experience. He's the OC in Indianapolis with Andrew Luck. For whatever it's worth, he was easily the best coach in the XFL. Worked with PJ Walker. It was the best, most efficient running offense. And I take that as like, oh, well, he made PJ Walker, for whatever level of competition, look pretty damn elite. So then you take that with the fact that he was the quarterback coach for Andrew Luck, which is all fine and good. But what have you done for me lately? That is what the NFL type of league it is. And they took Justin Herbert as a guy that I wasn't as low on him as a lot of people in the draft community. I mean, there's people that absolutely loved him, but I thought his ceiling was incredibly high, and he was going to a terrific situation there in LA because he could sit behind Tyrod Taylor and play when he's ready. Well, he was ready a lot sooner than anticipated. And because it's unfortunately a quarterback award, he's probably going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year over Justin Jefferson. And I think that development, the development of the quarterback that we saw for the Chargers from where he was in Oregon is, I'm not going to say it's 100% down to Pep Hamilton, but he's the quarterback coach. You know, we saw, for whatever assumptions I can make from Hard Knocks, I mean, Pep Hamilton was always the guy that was grilling him and all that stuff. I think Pep Hamilton is the guy that can come in and give us the best chance at salvaging Carson Wentz. And as far as I know, until I see Carson Wentz essentially buy his way out of Philadelphia by giving up some of the bonuses and guarantees and stuff like that, Carson Wentz is going to be on this team next year, and he is objective number 1 for this Philadelphia Eagles team this offseason is, how do we fix Carson Wentz? And you start by bringing in an offensive coordinator and a guy that can work and develop quarterbacks. And there's no better option than Pep Hamilton, because I also feel with Pep Hamilton, Doug might not have to give up play calling. I mean, I'd hope that if you bring in someone like Pep Hamilton, it would be kind of like the dynamic we had with Frank Reich, where it was like a tandem effort in terms of calling plays. But, you know, last year when Philly was getting rid of Mike Groh, everyone was talking about Jay Gruden needs to come to Philadelphia. But that was never going to happen, because Jay Gruden is a respected offensive mind, and he's not going to go and accept a job anywhere where he's not the play caller. So it kind of always handicapped Philadelphia, because Doug was a play caller, that we never would be able to get one of those top-tier offensive coordinators. I think Pep Hamilton comes in. He can be that OC. I don't think, because he's making the jump from a quarterback coach to an OC, that you would have to assume that he would only come here if he has 100% responsibility over the play calling. And by bringing him in, we can fire Press Taylor into the sun, the quarterback coach for the Eagles, who's absolutely terrible. So that is move 1. Hire Pep Hamilton. Move 2. We got to hire a defensive coordinator. And I did a video a couple days ago listing out a bunch of candidates. I mean, a lot of them was just throwing it at the wall, see what stick. To threw Luke Kuechly out there, for God's sakes. But I think the number 1 quality that is going to determine who should be the Eagles' defensive coordinator is not who's the guy that we think will bring this to becoming a top 10 defense in the NFL. Not who's going to be able to develop our young guys. Not who can who can find the best free agents on the street and get them to perform at a high level. Those are all things you absolutely want for a DC. But the number one quality for the Eagles in hiring a defensive coordinator is who can work with what we have. Because we have no money to make a splash in free agency to bring in a big-time player that could fit a new DC scheme. We don't have the draft capital to spend on the defensive side of the ball, first, second, third round, Micah Parsons, Patrick Surtain, because objective number one is fixing Carson Wentz. So those top draft picks are going to most likely come on the offensive side of the ball, at least in the first and second round. So who can work with what we have? Who can develop players that we're going to have to get probably mid-round, low-level free agents, mid-round, low-level rookies, and get them over the top? And for me, Marvin Lewis is my guy. I'm hiring Marvin Lewis as my defensive coordinator if I had my pick of the bunch. 4-3, experience, head coaching experience, went to college to revamp his scheme. I mean, he got his job in Cincinnati because he was the face of those Raiders the Ravens defenses of the thousands. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed propelled that to become the head coach of the Bengals. Their defenses generally, I mean, for the peak of his career, were strong. They were strong defenses. A little bit of a meme towards the end. I mean, you think of Marvin Lewis as a head coach, you're just like, only thing I remember in Cincinnati was like he had like 3 years where it's like, why aren't they firing him? But his defenses, he can coach a defense. He can coach a mean defense. So he can come in. He can work with what we have. I think another added benefit is like he is a developer on the defensive side of the ball. He will take guys that are discarded and salvage them. No one wanted anything to do with Vontaze Burfict, right? Off the field, say it was obviously probably work ethic a little bit because he tanked the combine and workouts. And Marvin Lewis made him into a Pro Bowler. There was a point in time where Vontaze Burfict was debatably a top 5 linebacker in the NFL. Pac-Man Jones. I feel like there's probably others that you could throw in there. Those are the two notable ones. But like, those are kind of the guys that Philly's going to have to try to bring in. Like, we're not getting, when you look on the defensive side of the ball, Philadelphia is not going to be getting any. We're not getting a Sheldon Rankins, a Larry Ogunjobi, a Melvin Ingram, a Justin Houston. We're not getting any of these big names that, Trey Hendrickson, breakout players. We're not getting KJ Wrights. We're not going to be getting a Matt Milano. We're not going to be getting an Anthony Harris, a Justin Simmons on the back end of the defense. We're not going to be getting Patrick Peterson, Richard Sherman, Brian Poole. I'm looking for the corners here. It's actually generally kind of like Wouzier. Jason Verrett after a one big year, he's probably going to cash it. Like we're not going to be able to get these top tier guys. We're going to have to get bargains and have a defensive coach that can put bargains and maximize their potential. And I think all those things involved, Marvin Lewis is the guy. And you're seeing Marvin Lewis still get head coaching jobs with the Detroit Lions. So come here for a year or two in Philadelphia and then use it. Hopefully you make them into a top 10 unit. Use that to propel you back into becoming a head coach. And hey, don't you get draft picks now if a black coach gets poached from your team? Could be added incentive for the Philadelphia Eagles. Even though, I don't really have, I think, what should be an opinion on this matter that should be taken with a grain of salt because I'm a white person. But I feel like if I was a black coach that's deserving of a head coaching job, I would feel disrespected knowing that, there's something going on in the back room that this team's getting a pick to hire me. I'm not just getting solely hired on my own merit. I do think that's a little disrespectful if I was a qualified black coach. But then also on the same side is that, there's a reason why they had to implement that because there's a massive discrepancy in the races of head coaches in the NFL. So it's just a weird thing. I don't know. It is what it is. But if you're Philadelphia, Pep Hamilton and Marvin Lewis are a certain shade that could yield you a pick, even though I 100% have Pep Hamilton as my number one OC. Have Marvin Lewis as my number one DC because of I think they're the most qualified. For whatever it is, if the NFLs have these rules in place, you can also kind of benefit from these moves, even though absolutely I think on their own merit, Pep Hamilton and Marvin Lewis would be perfect hires for the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 3, cuts. Well, these cuts, there's nothing coming out of left field here. Derek Barnett, Malik Jackson, Deshaun Jackson, and Alshon Jeffrey. As it stands, Philadelphia is $70 million over the salary cap. Getting rid of those 4 guys would bring us to around $30 million over the salary cap. And I like the Chip Kelly years where we would get rid of players, assume big players that have no replacements behind them. Like, you just got to look at Evan Mathis when we get rid of him. We kind of have guys like Derek Barnett's gone. Good. Josh Sweat can play more. Malik Jackson's gone. Good. We're going to have less defensive line rotation with no more Jim Schwartz. It's going to be Joanne Hargrave and Fletcher Cox. Deshaun Jackson's gone. Well, Quez Watkins, Jalen Reagor. Hopefully one of those guys can develop as the deep threat. Alshon Jeffrey's gone. Well, Fulham, JJ, Arcega-Whiteside. One of those two guys developed to be our jump ball guy. So we're fine. I think there's going to be some stability moving on from those big contracts. Number 4. We got to trade Zach Ertz. I think, I don't know value. This is where obviously, players, if you're listening to someone talk about their favorite team, they're always going to overvalue guys when they do videos like this. I think Zach Ertz, you can get a late day 2 pick, a 3rd, 4th round pick. And for this mock draft that I'm going to do at the end, because there is a little bit of trades, I will be, for the sake of this, adding an additional 4th round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles, assuming they trade Zach Ertz. They also save up $8 million against the salary cap by moving Zach Ertz. I'm looking at the Jets, the Patriots, or maybe the Jaguars as potential landing spots for Zach Ertz, but it has to happen. And hey, I appreciate Zach Ertz for becoming the greatest tight end that Philadelphia has ever had. 5, restructures. We need to clear up probably around $25 million in additional cap space. I'm leaning Fletcher Cox, Roddy McLeod, Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson. Those are your top targets in terms of looking at restructure. But this is how Howie Roseman justifies his employment, justifies staying on as Eagles general manager, is to navigate this horrific salary cap that he's got us in. And I'm hoping that he figures out a way without having to get rid of Fletcher Cox, without having to get rid of Brandon Graham. It's not super likely, but hey, this is how if Howie Roseman can navigate the waters, they do all these moves, and he finds a way to get us into free agency with enough money to get a couple depth guys here or there, a couple low tier, mid-round tier at the best free agency signings, give us 5, 6, 7, under $10 million of cap to work with. That is how you can justify not being fired, I guess. Number 6, trade Jalen Hurts. I just think it's, I've talked about it. I'm not going to spend 5 minutes. I think Carson Wentz is a more talented quarterback, and I think it is easier to move on from Jalen Hurts than it is to shift all of Carson Wentz's contract. Unless Carson Wentz comes and says, I want out of Philadelphia, I will forfeit some of my bonuses, essentially paying his way off the team. There's going to be teams that are going to miss out on Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Zach Wilson that aren't sold on Mac Jones or Kyle Trask that are going to go, Howie, what do you want for Jalen Hurts? Saw enough in those couple games that I think we can work with Jalen Hurts. I'll give you the 2nd round pick, and I'll give you a conditional pick based upon maybe performance incentives or something like that for Jalen Hurts. And essentially Philadelphia burned a 2nd round pick last year to have, I guess, an insurance policy for Carson Wentz here in 2020. And then you just recoup that 2nd round pick for Jalen Hurts. And I'm looking at Pittsburgh, New Orleans, San Francisco, New England, maybe Chicago as teams that are very much in the market for a quarterback, probably won't get one of those top tier guys. And I absolutely think you could see teams that could like Jalen Hurts more than Trey Lance or Justin Fields, maybe. I don't know. I personally wouldn't, but I think there's going to be teams that view trading up for a quarterback, trading up to get into the top 5, top 10 picks to select one of those 4 quarterbacks and be like, that's too expensive. I think we can get something that we like in Jalen Hurts for, we're starting in the 2nd round. We're not talking about future 1st round picks, multiple 1st round picks. So I would trade Jalen Hurts for a 2nd round pick and a conditional pick. So for the mock draft that you're going to see at the end, you will have an additional 4th for Zach Ertz and an additional 2nd for Jalen Hurts on the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 7, we got to talk about re-signing. We don't have a lot of money, but I would prioritize Boston Scott, Alex Singleton, Rudy Ford, and Cam Johnson as 4 guys that are not going to cost this team an arm and a leg, and I really think they should come back. So make that happen, Howie Roseman. And it's not like we're going to be handing out multi-million-dollar contracts. All these guys should be signed for reasonable deals. Number 6, it's going to be a very light free agency. So I would say of this list of guys that I'm going to say, maybe 2 we could sign. Maybe, most likely just 1. I have 4 positions that Philadelphia wants to get better at: wide receiver, linebacker, corner, and safety. At wide receiver, we're going to have to look at like mid-tier guys. Like wide receiver, it's going to be a top-heavy wide receiver free agency class. Allen Robinson, Sammy Watkins, Corey Davis, Will Fuller, Juju, Galladay, Chris Godwin. So some of these guys are going to slip. Some of these guys may get reasonable deals. So I'm looking at maybe Josh Reynolds from the Rams, David Moore from the Seahawks. We look at linebacker, I think Eric Wilson from the Vikings, Anthony Walker Jr. from the Colts, Jayon Brown from the Titans. Robert Spillane looked kind of good for the Steelers, even though he's an ERFA. That'd be a guy to keep an eye on. Look in the secondary corner, you got Charvarius Ward from the Chiefs. William Jackson, especially if we hire Marvin Lewis. William Jackson could be a veteran that we could bring in on a 1-year, 2-year deal that could give us some nice outside reps while we, kind of work with the salary cap there. Garyon Conley, if we want to spend a little bit more money and gamble that a guy could develop and reach the potential than when he was coming out of Ohio State in the first round. And at safety, I got Rayshawn Jenkins from the Chargers, Marcel Harris from the 49ers. A little bit of Gator bias there. But those are names that, looking at available free agents, potential available free agents, that would be my short list of guys that if Philly can scrap some couch change together and sign a guy or two, those would be the guys that I would be looking at. And now we finish with the mock draft. So thank you guys for watching. We'll get into the mock drafts. I'm just going to re-record it somewhere else. And hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about this offseason. Pep Hamilton at OC, Marvin Lewis at DC, the cuts, the trades, the restructures. Let me know how you guys feel about it. Free agents. Hey, if I didn't mention a free agent that you think would be a perfect fit for the Philadelphia Eagles, let me know in the comment section below. Without further ado, let's finish this one out here with a mock draft. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if it's your first time stopping by. Hit that like button. All I ask for thumbs up on the videos. And I'll see you guys back here tomorrow with Raiders Flashback Rebuild. Peace out. All right, got to do this. I got to get ready to go. Mock draft time. I was trying to get a good roll of the mock draft here to make it a little bit more interesting. I'm not, whatever. Let's take it within the spirit of what it is. It's a mock draft, and things are going to be unpredictable. We're here at pick 6. Now I'm going to make the trades. I can't make future trades in this mock draft simulator, so I'm just going to get rid of our lower round picks to act as our moves from our dream offseason. So I'm flipping this 7th round pick to the Jets. The Jets as part of the Zach Ertz trade. I think the Jets, Joe Douglas, familiar with him, who's working here in Philadelphia. Jets would absolutely give up a 4th round pick for Zach Ertz to be that reliable weapon. And then who would trade that 2nd round pick for Jalen Hurts? And I'm looking no further than the Saints. Saints, Drew Brees get retired. Taysom Hill wasn't worth it. Jameis Winston's 1 year. I think if I'm the Saints, I'm looking at 29, you can get something on the defense. And at 61, you get Jalen Hurts, who's just a better version of Taysom Hill. So that is the trade I'm making there. So here are our picks for Philadelphia. We got 2 5s, a 4, a 3, 2 2s, and a 1. Let's go. Pick 6 for Philadelphia. Now, there's only 2 options. I mean, they could look at quarterback, which would be stupid, but we made this whole dream offseason about fixing Carson Wentz. Now, I do think if you told me gun to my head, what's the best value for Philadelphia at pick 6, it'd be Surtain. And I do think Jamar Chase personally, that would be my pick. At 6, I don't think the Dolphins would grab him at 3. But if I'm sitting here at 6, Surtain is the best value because you can't get outside perimeter corners that often outside of the top 10 where Philadelphia, for the most part, generally picks. So this could be your 1 year to get your guy that can play next to Darius Slay and eventually be the heir to Darius Slay. Second option would be trading down at 6 because teams absolutely are going to be trying to trade up for Zach Wilson or Trey Lance if this is how the board's going. And if I know that I could trade down, I don't want to get too trade happy in this little segment of my dream offseason, or else I almost 100% would find one of these teams to trade down with and then still get Devontae Smith. We're not going to overthink it. It's just a dumb mock draft at the end. You get Carson Wentz, the best wide receiver on the board at 6, which is the likely Heisman Trophy winning Devontae Smith from Alabama. Now, I bet maybe a better argument is C4, who do you like more, Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase? Slight edge to Jamar Chase, but it is what it is. Now, in the 2nd round of pick 37, really, really disappointed to see Stokes and Zaven Collins off the board. Those would have been my picks, obviously. But we got wide receiver. I'm thinking at this point, looking at who's available, did Jason Kelce retire? If Kelce retired, Creed Humphrey could be in here. But it's still prioritizing wide receiver. You cannot, I'm not even overthinking it. We are getting 2 good wide receivers. We have no good wide receivers on our team right now. I'm sorry to say it. We have no good wide receivers on our team. There's not one guy you can build around. Get 2 guys that are bona fide first-round caliber wide receivers. Heisman Trophy winner and one of the best deep threats. Ohio State generally churns out dynamic playmakers. Olave looks pretty much like Scary Terry. So we got 2 wide receivers. Already people are rolling their eyes. It is what it is. Now we're moving in to the defense. You got to have to help them out a little bit here. Looking at the board, this is the board for Philadelphia. 2nd round, I think, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Are we getting rid of Fletcher Cox? Potentially you could be, if he's a salary cap. Davion Nixon, absolutely, that jump over that 61. Edge rusher, Jalen Phillips, I have a 1st round grade on. But there's value at edge. I think someone like Majay Saunders at 139, that's kind of the value at DN I would like versus, say, going in the 2nd round, Jalen Phillips. So we look at, We have to grab a corner, man. We'll go Tyson Campbell has all the traits, desirable traits, and hopefully he can get coached up. Round 3, pick 70. This is where I think, like, oh my God. The drop off, and we need a cover line. We need a linebacker that we can grow and develop. I would grab Jabril Cobb. You can get linebackers in free agency. Like, if you're going best player available, we'll go Nixon at D tackle, D line. Prove the line. The only reason why I'm skipping on linebackers is, again, it's a dream off season, and if you looked at where Philadelphia can find value in free agency with limited money, it'd be linebacker. Eric Wilson, Anthony Walker, Jayon Brown, Robert Spillane. Pair that with Alex Singleton, and just hope. So what do we got? We got 2 wide receivers, a corner, a D lineman. I would now be looking. Again, is Jason Kelce coming back? Can I make the assumption for this mock draft, for all intents and purposes, that Jason Kelce is returning, so that I don't have to burn an early pick right now on a center? So from here, I would go and grab Richard LeCounte at safety. We need help at safety for sure on the back end. You have Roddy McLeod coming off a bad injury, and we don't have a whole lot outside of safety. We don't know what we have in Kavon Wallace. Unfortunately, did not get played a whole lot. So we have our corner. We have a safety. Linebacker, we've been passing on them. Snowden is interesting. He's more of an outside. Oh, Sanders is here. There we go. We're grabbing our edge rusher. And we're now with our final pick. Linderbaum, obviously, he declared, but a lot of people think he's going to be returning to school. So to make the most of our final pick here, we have edge, we have 2 D linemen, we have 2 defensive backs, we have 2 wide receivers. If you're Philadelphia at this point, you know, if I'm the Eagles, I'd probably go Kolar. Best value at tight end. We moved on from Zach Ertz. We have Dallas Goedert. I think Charlie Kolar is a very legitimate tight end. So there's your mock draft that I just put forth at the end of my offseason. 2 wide receivers and a backup tight end, and then the rest is all on defense. You saw it. You can critique it, but that is how we're finishing up this mock draft. You know, it is what it is. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back tomorrow with Raiders Franchise. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go Eagles.